Welcome to Souls on Tap. I'm Julianne Thong.
And I'm Jennifer Cross.
Today we are excited to have Mary Beth Wilker, who is a very gifted crystal healer. And she's also a designer of a published book on crystals. She brings to our podcast today years of experience helping people tap into energy and helping people to heal through these powerful and natural tools. Welcome, Mary Beth.
Oh, thank you, Julianne, and thank you, Jennifer, for having me.
Our pleasure.
So, Mary Beth, would you mind just kind of giving a brief synopsis of your healing journey, healing of others, and how you specifically got into, as they call it, crystal surgery?
Yes, absolutely. So, I don't know, ever since I remember, I've just been a learner and interested in nature and plants and definitely crystals. But as I was getting older, I experienced more and more anxiety, especially like in the corporate world. So I studied fine art and communications and went into the corporate world working with graphics. And so it was a lot of package design originally, and then it evolved into my own business, which was more marketing and web-based design, along with branding and marketing for, all kinds of companies. So in the process of doing that, I was sitting all the time behind a computer, which is not helping your body in any way.
Uh-huh.
Over the years, I realized, I'm just not helping myself by doing all this. So I started to look at alternative things after work to compensate, beyond running and exercising like that. I was looking for more healing, within as well to relieve some of the anxiety. So I came across this couple. They're so interesting. They're from South Africa, Vivian and Neil Chapra. And Neil is a shaman, and Vivian is the founder and a dear friend of the crystal surgery technique that we're going to talk about today. So she's also the author of this book, Crystal Surgery, The Complete Guide to Crystal Surgery. And then her husband, Neil, took the photographs, and I designed the book and did all the illustrations. So
It looks beautiful.
And I think that you showed us some of the pages and the design several months ago when we first met, and it's beautifully done.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it was a 2-year project, so lots of information in the book. Anybody who's interested in doing crystal healing, it's so valuable, with techniques and protocols and just so much information. It's overwhelming.
Yeah.
So I'm so excited to have you today because I just know, like a lot of people, a little bit about crystals. And I have used a few for myself. And when my son Evan was on this earth plane, we used a lot for him, a lot of obsidian, because he needed grounding most of his little life because his little spirit was often like floating somewhere else. And we needed to help him make that connection. But that's about all I know.
Okay.
The other thing I know is, and I think this is fascinating, is that the ancient Atlanteans utilized this for everything, including teleportation. They used it for everything, and we know this through the teachings of Dolores Cannon, and some things that were channeled and some things that were written.
Yeah, I believe that this crystal surgery is the Atlantean and Lemurian tools that they used, and it's just the information's coming back because it's so needed. Hopefully, we won't have to be always taking pills and living in that realm, that we can advance and use some of those techniques that were from long ago. And I think crystal surgery is one of those.
Yeah. So can you describe your training for us in the process, um, how you developed your skills and the crystal surgery?
Well, there's true protocols for the crystal surgery. So there you can like actually get a bachelor's and a master's
Oh,
in, you can take it online. They have a website online, as well as, you can teach yourself with the book. So there's, many different ways to go about it. But because I started early, it was before there was a website or a book. So with this couple, I've learned the Alexander technique, which was a 3-year
oh,
program, and that's really totally separate from crystal surgery, but it did help with me and my posture while I'm sitting at the computer and, learning how to, align myself with the screen and everything like that. And then I helped other people too. But what was the question? Sorry, I can go on and on.
well, the question was, can you describe your training and that process, that whole process, and how you developed your skills?
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. So, I mean, first we started out, working with crystals, and then it was like an in-person class that went on for a couple years, and it was just for me really nice to get together with like-minded people. I'm in Cincinnati, Ohio, which is pretty conservative, so there isn't a lot of crystal minded people, I mean, that I know of anyway. So it was good for me to meet people, spend the afternoon with them, and work on healing one another. So we did just basic crystal healing, and then it turned into crystal surgery, and then it turned into 1, 2, and 3 crystal, classes, and then it turned into the bachelor's and the master's, which is now online. But because I'm so involved in designing the books and helping with the materials and the website and little bits and pieces, I end up just going to all the classes, which is really nice. And so I get to meet people who are training and then also, help in any way I can.
So
Yeah.
what is the difference between crystal healing and crystal surgery?
So I guess, you can think about it a couple different ways. Our human body is, well, body, mind, and spirit. We are a human vibration that encompasses those three, physical, psychological, and then the etheric realm. So crystal surgery operates on the etheric plane, um, and in the etheric tissue within the energy system. Crystal healing, I think, is similar, but I think the intention with crystal surgery is much more intense. So it's like saying you're a surgeon for open heart versus you're a MD, like just a regular, you know.
Ah, okay, that makes sense.
Mhm. Yeah, so the interesting thing about the etheric world is that she goes into so much depth. So most people know it as an aura, but our energy field is full of cells because we have this vibration that is, beating. Our heart is beating and we're alive. So animals have it. And I'm sure you've seen or heard people see a speaker on stage and be able to identify a glow around them, like a white glow. Oftentimes that's considered the aura or the energy field. So there's actually, if you get into the detail of that, there's 7 layers within the energy field that relate to the 7 chakras in the chakra system. Uh, so the etheric tissue that surrounds the body, this is where we focus. And a lot of people believe that illness happens first in this realm and then it goes within to the physical. So because we're focusing on the etheric and clearing that and reorganizing it so that it is back in alignment, and maybe it got out of alignment, so to speak, it helps to heal there for the physical.
So, how do you determine which crystals to use for what might be going on with each individual or client?
Right. So there are techniques and protocols for everything, but then each stone has a different property that it offers. And then we use tools, and I can share some of them. This is a wand that my friend Scoop makes. They're absolutely
Oh, that's
amazing.
beautiful.
So beautiful.
What would you utilize that for?
So this would be to open up chakras. It would be to regrid the body and reorganizing the layers. And I might even do it 7 times throughout that, energy field to reorganize everything. And then like a, a tool like this with a spear on the end, I might hold this to on a client to relieve stress and anxiety or heat, whatever may be there, and the sphere will collect it, and then this point will pull it up into space.
So that's interesting. So in that, as the energy from the crystals travel, it can do two things. It can unblock things that are there in the body, and it can also pull out. Is that what I'm understanding correctly?
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty amazing, but
Wow.
again, it's really kind of like when you're doing a session, you want to, calm the body and then clear the body. So that's kind of the focus. First you calm them, then you can clear it, and then you can heal it. Again, I want to say, first of all, that I don't feel like I do the work. I create a space for the body to heal itself. And it's just a calming environment with, you know, spirit guides and energy for that individual to be responsive to the good energy, they could be living in, ever since COVID. There's so much stress in the world, and people are living in fight or flight. So
Yeah.
they need a break from that, and a lot of people don't know how to get there. So I consider myself just a doorway to help.
I think a lot of us as light workers and those of us who are here to help individuals heal themselves, we all subscribe to that same philosophy. It's the client that is healing themselves, and we provide the opportunity for them to do so.
I agree.
And I have to also just add, because this is really exciting. So I am totally falling in love with physics and quantum physics. The very little that I can understand, of course. And there's for those of you who might be skeptical about this kind of thing, quantum mechanics has something that they have named the observer effect, and they have actually been able to prove that by observing particles, you can actually change the shape of those particles. You can cause them to break up, go north, go south. So they know that this is something that can take place. So quantum mechanics, when you back this up for people who are a little bit more skeptical, perhaps they'd be more open to it if they understand that there, in fact, is some science that can back it up.
Mm-hmm. And then I also think people are learn differently. I'm a visual learner because, I'm in art, and it's, just the way I've always learned. I can watch somebody do something and then kind of understand it a little bit more. If I'm reading a textbook, I don't always get it, but I know there's people who have that as a better way of learning than the visual. So I just think, there's so many ways to figure life out.
Yeah, I totally agree. So how do you assess the impact that the crystals are having while you're in the midst of this healing or this surgery that you're doing? How do you measure what's going on?
Sure. Most of it is just watching the client, watching how they're responding to the stones. And, without a doubt, it is always calming for somebody as long as they're comfortable on the table. And that's my job, is to make them feel safe and heard, and, comfortable, as we're going through the techniques. And I usually will say, if I'm going to touch them, is it okay to touch you? But oftentimes I might just lay the stones on them and then work in this space that we're talking about. And then also, there is an energy body that sits within the physical body, which is also part of the etheric realm. And it is like a imprint of our exact physical body. And I'm sure you've heard of people and this little sayings like, I'm beside myself. Remember your mom would
Yeah.
say something like that. But that's truly when your energy body is beside itself. So I wanted to show an illustration of that to help because I drew it. But you can kind of see, like, if someone broke their arm in this illustration, the energy body is the purple shape and the arm is sticking out and not inside the physical, and the legs are slightly off. And then, these are all different examples. And it's similar also to, if you've ever, heard of someone who's lost a limb and then they
Yeah.
have a phantom.
Yeah.
That's the energy. Yeah, that's the energy body. It still exists. Just because the physical is not there, it doesn't mean the energy is not.
So this is viewed as a holistical or alternative form of healing. And so how do you deal or address skepticism or doubt from a lot of people because it's so different? It's not, you may have heard of it even, but not that many people, I don't think, know really what it is.
Right. It's kind of sad because they think it's voodoo. My family does definitely.
I have not, I've heard woo woo, but I have not heard woo doo, and I rather like that. That's
Um,
good.
yeah, but anyway, I just say, I'm here if you need me, but it's up to you and it's up to each individual to choose that. Sadly, most people look at alternative things after they've gone through all the doctors and the medications and the surgeries, and they're at their last limb on what to do. And it's a shame they don't incorporate it at the very least, obviously with traditional healing and medication, to even help with the side effects of some of them, like, you know, digestive issues and things like that.
I think we are so conditioned from the time even we're in our mother's wombs. What does the mother do? That throughout the pregnancy, she goes to see a doctor. She looks to the doctor for questions, any kind of support that she needs, and that continues through most of our life. However, I am seeing some of the younger generations that are coming in. They're changing their point of view a little bit. They're a lot more open minded and willing, and lots of them searching for alternative healing modalities, which I think is great.
They seem
Yeah,
very curious.
absolutely. And they're doing yoga and all the traditional things that are from other areas that are not, here in our Western culture. So,
Yes. Yes.
yeah.
Um, and there's something I wanted to ask you before I forget. So you were talking about the hands-on that you do during a healing session. Can this be done virtually as well? I would think it could.
Yeah, and so that's kind of why I continued with the classes, because the crystal surgery we originally learned with somebody laying on a table. We got their body in alignment. We, um, you know, did all the prepping, the calming, the clearing, and healing and energizing. And then after COVID, you know,
Things
we didn't know
changed.
what to do, right? So that's when we started another layer of classes where we work with a client, but we might use a stone like this, and I would connect this to you and your energy body and who you are, and we'd talk on the phone basically, and then I would work on this, you know, at home, just over the phone.
So if you could say there was a typical session, and I'm sure, I mean, I realize everyone is different. What would that session look like? From kind of from start to finish. Someone calls you up and says,
Right. So the first thing I would do is obviously interview the person and really understand, you know, what is their complications? Is it physical? Is it emotional? Is it spiritual? And then go through all of the protocols within the questions, and then from there, set up the time to actually have the session, and then connect. They're lying on their couch in the living room and or in bed, and I'm in my crystal healing room and doing crystal surgery, and I'm telling them what I'm working on as we go through it. So,
and so when you're doing the actual surgery, is it something like you're setting an intention, like Julianne was kind of referring to about how we can influence through the quantum realm, if you
Mechanics,
will?
yeah. Mhm.
yeah.
And so you're setting like an intention, and then are you feeling something, or does the crystal guide you? How is it the frequency? Like, what does it feel like? How does it work?
Right. So, like just to, give this crystal as an example, I might be gridding your energy field and I find that my hand gets stuck.
Okay.
And when a hand gets stuck, that means there's a block or it's not organized. There's something going on there. So that's where the crystals help, because some people can use their hands and be able to scan the body. They can use all different kinds of things, but the crystals help, and then they communicate. I know it sounds crazy, but they communicate with you and they help you to understand what needs to be done and what protocol to follow to help that person. And so that's really how it works. It's amazing. And obviously there's spirit guides and angels, and there's a lot of prep I do before I work with somebody, whether it's remote or in person. I'll really have to get myself in the right space to be able to receive and work with them and the guides.
Okay.
So is there also a way, with some of your clients, I'm sure they come to you and perhaps they're seeing a doctor or they are receiving other type of alternative or holistic healing. For example, if we had a client that we were helping them with introspective hypnosis, do you work in conjunction with other practitioners?
Sure. I mean, obviously, I would never replace the doctor, the MD.
Right.
It would be a way to just help soothe the mind, body, and spirit as they go on their healing journey, or just life journeys. I mean, I'm a believer in it because done, I've had so many sessions myself.
Mm-hmm.
It can bring up past lives, which is part of the hypnosis world, and things that might have happened back then that just need to be healed. And it's a great alternative tool.
Well, and it's as if these crystals have their own wisdom.
Oh
And it
yeah, they're
seems like
all
what you're saying is that it will help the client understand better what they need because the crystals know. Probably,
exactly.
probably even they can probably read the energy when the client walks into the room.
Yes, yes. Well, I don't know, but in Lemurian days, you would, like the libraries we have today, you would take out a crystal and you'd sit with it and it would communicate with you, and that's how they were trained. So there's a million different types of stones that have different information to give you. So depending on what you want to learn, you work with that stone type and then you move on.
And so, doing this, what kind of feedback have you gotten from some of your clients? Can you share a particular success story that is close to your heart?
Yeah, a lot of people who are stressed find that they're more relaxed. I mean, when you go get a massage, you're going to get relaxed, but that's on the physical body, and this is just in a different realm. And there's other things that I may incorporate. So the shamanism, I have drums, so I can do the drumming and rattling. And that helps people feel comfortable. Some people don't like that. And essential oils, like I make my own creams and lotions with the essential oils and the crystals infused. And sometimes just putting that on somebody's palm can help them relax. So it really depends on the individual and what their body is accepting.
Okay.
So
And what they're open to, obviously.
Yeah.
what, Mary Beth, with some of your clients, what has been some of your more challenging healing sessions? And then how do you overcome some of the obstacles?
Well, it's all a process. And again, following the protocols and techniques. Um, that's the key to helping people. But I'd say some of the most rewarding experiences have been when they've shared their feedback with me and how it's changed them. And sometimes it doesn't change them on a physical way, but it helps them in a grieving process or in their own process to death, um, to be able to deal within themselves and accept, you know, that fate, so to speak.
Can you think of a client in particular that just had great success? One of your favorite stories to tell about crystal healing?
Um, well, there's so many. So I would just say that overall, people have a good experience. I've never had anyone get off the table or, off their couch after an experience and say, I didn't enjoy that. So, I mean, what can I say?
Yeah, that's great.
I mean, truly, it's like any modality when you go and treat yourself, if you think that there's nothing to work on, you go to the chiropractor and he finds 100 things wrong.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, is there a particular modality that, through your experience, you have found really, really works in conjunction with the crystal surgery?
I think all of them, and the ones that I know best are obviously the Alexander technique, without a doubt, works with the nervous system.
Yeah.
And it also works with getting people in alignment so that their body can accept the healing faster. And, being able to open up that etheric plane um, to be able to work on it is ideal. So I would say that would be if I had to pick one thing, it would be the Alexander technique.
So, you're finding that the more physically aligned somebody is, the more they are apt to receive the work that you're doing?
Well, again, the etheric, you know, realm, the etheric body is the energy body sits within the body. So if I can get your physical body in alignment, then I can work on either regridding or reorganizing to get that body to sit properly within the physical. And then
Okay.
it just helps the organs and the tissues and the muscular system and the bones and everything.
Mm, interesting.
You mentioned earlier that there are actually graduate designations you can receive uh,
Yeah.
regarding the study. Have you found that, because we know that technology is ever changing, and things are actually being developed almost exponentially, just faster and faster, more and more. With AI, it's just going to springboard us into who knows what. Have you found that any of the universities, any of the university hospitals, um, are they are they willing to accept or try this kind of modality? Are they working with them that you know of?
I think some are. We have in Cincinnati here, we have Children's Hospital, which is really world renowned,
Hmm.
and they originally started a healing. It was more hands-on healing work with the children. Now, I don't know if that's still in play, but it was a big part of their organization. And I really don't know about any other hospitals. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
I imagine children really must respond really well to this.
Yeah, they want to play with them for sure. And I mean, that's part of the crystals. It brings out the child in you, and you get to discover again. And I guess that's something that I've, you know, I want to keep doing, even though I'm almost 60. So,
Yeah,
Well,
I hear you.
it must work really well because you do not look almost 60. Yeah. Please mail me one that has to do with that, okay? Um, so how do you see the future? How do you see our future as humanity uh, with the utilization of this particular technique? And where would you like to see it go?
yeah, I don't know. That's a great question because there's so many alternative um, healing modalities out there now. And like even the EES room, I don't know if you're familiar with that, but there's a thing called the pod. Um, I don't know. There's so many things that you can just go sit in and it changes your whole energy. And I just feel like I would hope my wish would be in 5 years, we don't have to have surgery. We don't have to have pills. We don't, people don't get sick. They can decide when they're ready to go and, stop all these, crazy pharmaceuticals and crazy world
And
like
and
that.
so much of that has to do with why we are having this podcast, why you're here with us today. We want to help that ascension of our human race move a little faster. And in doing so, we see that people are searching. A lot of people are lost right now. They know there's something to the spiritual world and the metaphysical world that's important. I think they know this from their inner wisdom and their higher selves, but because of fear, my grandmother used to. She was from the South, and she had great sayings, and one of them she used to say is, "You're always down on what you're not up on." And I thought that was so great, and that really stems from fear. People were like, "Oh no, I don't want to go there because that is the work of Satan," or whatever their concerns are. But really, what it boils down to is the individual trusting themselves. And I would think that you probably talk to them a little bit about this when you set your intention so that they are open and understanding that, like we all know, the client is healing themselves. We're not doing it for them. We can't do it for them. They have to be willing and open minded. But to help our viewers understand, there's so many hundreds and thousands of different holistic and alternative modalities out there that you don't have to only consider uh, the fraternity of medicine.
Mhm. Yeah, I think it's important to be open and whatever resonates with that person, client, individual to, absorb as much of it as you can. And if you're not into it, then
Right.
it's just like a religion, choose
Well,
what you want.
that's true too. We It's like the universe is happy to meet you where you are. And for
Definitely.
some of us, that's part of our journey is being skeptical about things and searching and looking. And that's okay too. So I agree with what you're saying. Um, when you are setting the intention, would you mind taking us through the the mantra or whatever kind of meditation you do?
Yeah, as I said, it's a process for me. I clear the space. I drum, and that calls in the higher realms of spirit. I call on them. I call on my own guides, and I call on the client's guides to show me what needs to be healed, what needs attention today. I mean, we might have a laundry list of needs, but some things are more urgent than others, and that is typically what shows up in a session. And it might be repeated, like somebody might need a detox 3 to 4 times, or anti-inflammatory, or brain balancing. Um, it just really depends. And listening, that's probably the number one thing I would say in being a good healer, is to listen not only to the client, but also, to meet their expectations, but to also listen, to the higher self. And I typically don't say anything to the client that could impact the process of their healing unless I hear it 3 times. And
Oh,
if I
okay.
hear it 3 times from the guides, then I will pose it to them as maybe a question,
Hmm.
for them to think about.
Hmm.
So.
Do are you have you been able to use this on animals and pets?
Yes, we had a little dog, Finny. He's actually in the book because I have to show a picture. There's Finny.
Oh,
Aw,
So
Finny.
at work, and
Finny
he
is
let
cute.
Yeah, he's a little Yorkie. But he would let me, he was such a good spirit helper. He would come in whenever clients would come in, and he would just lay there as if he was getting healed too. So he would just lay on the floor and just zonk out. And so when I would get him on the table, he'd do the same thing, and just the sweetest little dude. Um, so he's now
oh,
helping me up there.
he is
I'm
so
sure
cute.
he is. I'm sure he's
So
quite an assistant.
do you feel like you just kind of touched upon with Finny, you are getting also some healing from healing with others?
Oh, it's definitely, just part of the process. I think whenever you help someone, you're actually helping yourself, and in any way, whether it's education or, at the grocery store, whatever.
Yeah,
That's my belief. Yeah.
yeah. I
Yeah,
feel the same way.
it's reciprocal. There's no question about it. I also practice Jinshin, which is a form of acupressure, and the a lot of the effects are similar to
Mhm.
what Crystal does. You're again supporting the chakras. You're supporting the energy and kind of lifting it up and helping to direct it towards the blocked areas of the body. And it sounds like that's done with crystals. So,
Yeah.
to your knowledge, do we know if giant conglomerations such as NASA and people like that know much about the harvesting of crystals? And that's another question I wanted to ask you. How do we get our crystals?
Yeah, because there's so many, um, I want to say like fake crystals out there, and
Hmm.
you order something online, you may not know, so you want to go to a reputable source. There's the Tucson Gem Show. It's actually going on right now in Tucson. But even there, you can get
Hmm.
fake stones. So it's really important to educate yourself. Sometimes you can tell the difference between a plastic bead, as an example, or a real stone that's heavy. And then you have to start using your energy mind to connect with it. And if you're not connecting, then there's something that's not working.
Hmm.
And what
Mhm.
about ones that are maybe, I know lots of people dye them and also people grow them, man-made. What about those? Are they less effective?
I think the grown ones are, I don't know. why people dye them other than to make them more brilliant, or appear to be a different type of stone. So, um, yeah, I don't know. I just, I think you can tell. I mean, we've all been had. I mean, I've gone to the show so many times with my friends. I'm like, I need to stop going because I buy so many crystals when I go there. But we all got, you all get had one way or another, and then it's just a learning process, and something you don't forget. So you remember that, and the next time you go back, you're like, oh wait, I know Lemurians, they have this texture coat on them. So
Yeah.
you just learn and you get the books. Another book out there that I'd recommend is this um, book. It's called Love is in the Earth.
Okay.
Uh, it's written by Melody. She's just amazing, but she goes through every stone you could possibly imagine and gives
Wow.
you all the detail that you could ever imagine. It's pretty intense though. It's like a Bible. So I go to this if I want to know about stones, and if I want to know about how to use them, I use the crystal surgery book. Or
And do you clean your stones? Tell us how you purify them and cleanse them.
yeah, so depending on like these stones here, this is actually not stones, this is Himalayan salt. But you can use Himalayan salt to do a detox on your body. Obviously, you can put it in your food, but you can also put it on your body, which helps to, relieve stress and anxiety and helps to reorganize things. You don't have to clear this. And when I use the stones on a person's body, I clear them. Um, I just thank the salt because it is helping me. But let's see. Let me just show you how that would work. So this bowl, there's all kinds of crystal bowls, but as you can see, um, there's um, stones and within the inside. I don't know if I'm doing
Is that
this.
a
There you go.
geode?
Yeah, this is like a geode. So if I was opening a chakra, I would afterwards, dip the tip of it into this bowl. This bowl connects to the etheric realm and it will remove any negative energy. If I'm doing another technique where I'm removing cords from, say, like an energy vampire type, I'll decord and all those cords go back in here too. So that just helps to mitigate them from attaching to anyone else. And, you send love and light to whoever they belong to, and the etheric world takes care of it. So, otherwise, I would say I also spend a lot of time. I use the sage to clear moonlit nights. I use a lot of mineral oil, and they let me know when they want the attention and they need a good clearing. So, yeah.
It's just absolutely fascinating to me. Sign me up. I'm ready. I need
Um,
it.
sounds
Uh,
good.
well, gosh, Mary Beth, this has been so, so interesting. Thank you so
Very
much for coming
educational.
on.
Oh,
And
it's my pleasure.
you really know your business. I mean, I would love to pick your brains even more. I would love it if we could have you on again sometime.
I'd love to do
And
that.
we could get to some other aspects of crystal surgery that we didn't get to today, but I really appreciate your coming on.
Thank
And
you.
And
thank you for having me.
for our viewers, I will be sure and put your information uh, down below in the description so
Great.
that they know a way of getting in touch with you. Do you have a name for your business?
Yeah, the business is called The Crystal Buzz.
Ah,
And
very good.
that's
Very
it.
apropos. Good. So those of you who want to know more about this, I'll have a way to contact you, and they can get more specific answers about things. So thank you again, and thank you to all the viewers. Please, we would appreciate it so much if you could like and subscribe. Please put things in the comments in terms of what other kind of healing modalities that you'd like to know more about, other types of guests that you'd like to see us have, and We are here for you as the viewer. So thank you again, and we'll see you next week on Souls on Tap.